Wes du har min freund, and welcome to yet another installment of Women in Fiction. And it is only fitting that I finally make a video about my very favorite female character in all fiction, and indeed one of my favorite characters in general, and that is Éowyn, the daughter of Éomun, from The Lord of the Rings, obviously, the epic saga from the pen of Professor John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. And because I have been focusing more and more on what I actually got 2 degrees from, and that is the oldest English literature and the fantasy literature of the 20th century, I thought that once again it's about time this episode was about Éowyn. Now, I do these videos from this series, Women in Fiction, for one simple reason, and that is to prove a lot of people wrong and prove myself right. A lot of people are saying that women have been hugely underrepresented in fiction in general, be it films, literature, theatre, and so on and so forth. But I always say that is not true. That is a lie. Females, women, have always had a huge part in fiction, and not only as supporting characters or characters that would serve a sort of secondary purpose or help a man, the masculine, the patriarchy in the book, or to only serve as damsels in distress for characters like Conan the Barbarian. And Éowyn is a typical example of it. Now, she was, of course, based on a lot of females from the ancient, or very old, let's say, early medieval European literature that was based on even earlier legends and myths, especially from the northern and western parts of Europe, from the Scandinavian or Norse mythology and legends, and the old Anglo-Saxon stories. Now, there were women called shield maidens in old Scandinavian legends. For example, Brynhild or Gudrun from the Volsunga saga, which I would say are very, very similar to the type of character that Éowyn was, even though all the Rohirrim people, the people of Rohan, are basically Anglo-Saxons, people from the old ancient England or Britain. And if you read the books, if you read The Lord of the Rings, and indeed if you read anything that Tolkien wrote about the people of Rohan, and then you study just a little bit upon the Anglo-Saxon people, you will see that it is basically one-to-one representation. Even their language. Wes du har is be hail. Basically, hail, hello. It is a greeting. And this particular sentence is used multiple times in The Lord of the Rings. So Tolkien based the Rohirrim upon his own peoples, upon his own ancestors, really. Although Tolkien originally comes from Germany. His family came from Germany, but nevertheless, we all Europeans, we are sort of a mixture of the old Germanic peoples and Slavs and Celts and so on and so forth, but this is not important here. Éowyn, the daughter of Éomun, the niece of King Theoden and the sister of Éomer, played a huge part in both the Lord of the Rings trilogy or book and the movie trilogy, and especially in the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. That's why I mentioned shield maidens. Shield maidens were women who were basically, very simplistically said, female warriors. And if you want to accuse Tolkien of being anti-feminist and not using females enough in his books, well, you are wrong. Yes, he did use mainly male characters, but once again, as I've said many times before, The Lord of the Rings is an epic story about a war. And it has always been a fact that mainly men go to war. Oh, well, yes, females also go to war, but it is a fact that majority of males, men, with penises go to war as warriors or soldiers. But, once again, it is not anything rare that women go to war as well. And it has been happening since the early medieval ages and even before that, as I said before. Now, I love Éowyn because she is such a awesomely badass character, especially when she disguised herself as Dernhelm and went to the Battle of the Pelennor Fields and played a huge part in the story of The Lord of the Rings in defeating the Witch King of Angmar. Without her, I doubt that the people of Gondor and Rohan would achieve such an awesome victory, which would ultimately lead to, of course, connected with Frodo destroying the ring, to the ultimate defeating of Sauron. And for this purpose, I just gotta drink a bit because my throat is getting dry. I wanted to read out the passage from The Lord of the Rings where Éowyn defeats the Witch King of Angmar, which was, of course, a bit longer than in the film because you've got only so much time in film for this. So this is when Éowyn, dressed as Dernhelm, confronts the Witch King of Angmar. Then, out of the blackness in his mind, he thought that he heard Dernhelm speaking. Yet now the voice seemed strange, recalling some other voice that he had known. "Begone, foul Dwimerlach, Lord of Carrion, leave the dead in peace," a cold voice answered. "Come not between the Nazgul and his prey, or he will not slay thee in thy turn. He will bear thee away to the houses of lamentation beyond all darkness, where thy flesh shall be devoured, and thy shriveled mind be left naked to the lidless eye." A sword rang as it was drawn. "Do what you will, but I will hinder it, if I may." "Hinder me, thou fool. No living man may hinder me." Then Merry heard of all sounds in that hour the strangest. It seemed that Dernhelm laughed, and the clear voice was like the ring of steel. "But no living man am I. You look upon a woman. Éowyn I am, Eärmund's daughter. You stand between me and my lord and kin. Begone, if you be not deathless. For living or dark undead, I will smite you if you touch him." And then, of course, everybody who saw at least the Lord of the Rings films knows that with the help of Merry, Éowyn defeats the Witch King of Angmar. And by this plays a very huge role in the ultimate defeat of the dark forces of Mordor. So this is yet another representation of how important, how females are and always have been in fiction, especially since Éowyn herself was based on characters, female characters, that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. Now, please, do not forget to check out other videos of this series. There is a playlist on my channel. There is going to be many more episodes like that, just to prove people like, if you're watching this video and if you think that women have been underrepresented in fiction, this is a video for you, just to prove you wrong, prove myself right. There are hundreds and hundreds of awesome and fantastic female characters that are so essential for the history of literature that literature wouldn't really be able to exist without them, and Éowyn is one of them. And of course, please do not forget to share your opinions in the comments down below, what your favorite character is, not only female, but a character in general from The Lord of the Rings or other work of fiction. And because YouTube is not very fond of free speech oriented YouTubers such as I am, do not forget to like this video if you like it, or dislike this video if you did not like it, then subscribe to this unimportant channel of an unimportant geek talking about unimportant things. And that will be really all, my friends. See you very soon in another video, and Namarie.